right now.
What's your name?
I'm Lauren and I'm D. I was gonna try and choose sign language, but I forgot.
I'm Kellen and I'm E, or C.
I'm Tristan and I'm E.
I'm Christy and I'm A.
I just combined. I'm Natalie and I'm B.
And this is our discussion on post 8. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna figure out the first thing we're supposed to talk about is.
More jelly. I got raspberry because I wanted to try something different, but now I miss coconut.
You guys, this is so rude. We're just like.
Oh yeah, this is really rude.
Peruse this ELD standard review. Which ones did you guys do? The K through 12 or the adult?
K through 12.
Me too.
K through 12.
Actually, I think I looked at both, but then I was like, this is for adults. Maybe I should look at that. Yeah.
One for children.
Yeah.
That's a good decision.
I'm gonna talk about the laws.
Yeah, we can talk about the laws. There are 3 documents you need to review. Oh, no. Alright.
Wasn't that interesting tonight to hear about? To hear like more in depth about transitional bilingual because like reading about it, I vaguely understood it, but then like the more that group talked about it, plus I was just super organized and could
They had
crazy.
just the best crazy ever.
I asked her.
Who?
Never mind.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we?
Anyway, that was really interesting because I didn't really like understand it fully, like what we did in the United States. I was like, in Washington State, I was like, oh, we probably do it pretty like equitable, like it makes sense or whatever, but we're really just like transitioning them to like the English only speakers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was I want to, after watching the video, like for question 5 or whatever, I want to send my kid to like a bilingual school, but one that is like, goes both ways, like,
yeah.
so they can be bilingual in their language. I wish my parents had done that for me.
I know. Are those private schools or are they public?
They're private.
They're private.
Oh.
I'm sure you have to show a lot of
In
money
the
to
one
every kid over there, too.
presentation where they're like, oh, and if you either go like Spanish or Japanese, it's like you get assigned that, or do your parents choose?
Or you get to choose.
That's
As
a
a
big
5-year-old.
money question because I was going to ask them that and I forgot. I was going to ask them that in the presentation.
Me too, but then I started wondering if like it meant that they were either Japanese or Spanish, like.
Well, and
Oh,
how is
no,
that
like,
fair,
I don't
though?
wanna ask for
How is that fair? Because you can't make that decision for a tiny child.
Well,
You make the decision if you're gonna have them speak English at home,
Yeah.
or sign when they're babies, or
Yeah. So it was both English, Spanish, whatever speakers in that school, they're doing that. And so if you come into the school speaking Spanish, you're getting 10% English. And then if you come to school speaking English, you get 90% Spanish, 10% English. Is that how? I didn't know how to ask the question.
I just didn't know, like, what the majority of the speakers were in those schools. Does that mean they
Yeah.
are the majority of Spanish-speaking students, since it is 90-10?
No, I think it's 90% of your second language, whatever language you're learning, on the instructions, 10%
So you're just in a
language
different
you already know.
classroom?
Probably.
So it'd be 90% English, 10% of the foreign language?
Could that be a language?
I think that would be really cool.
I would like to know more about that.
what's our ready question?
If
I'm
it's-
still ready in the first.
If it's 90% of your current language, so like if you're an English-speaking student and you go to that school where it's like 90-10, is it 90% English and then 10% a foreign language? Or is it just like
Or
if
is
you
it-
speak English, it's 90% English and 10% the foreign? Like, how does it set up if you're not
A speaker of a different language.
a
besides English.
speaker of a different language?
Yeah, like if you're from.
Anywhere else.
So
Yeah.
question, just to clarify, is your question, is it 90% L1 and 10% L2, or is it 90% English and 10% L2?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good clarification.
6 o'clock. I heard the dingling dongs.
Mm-hmm.
The clock, that's what it's called. The chime chime.
I like ding-a-ling-dongs. I think the clock should be called the
Does
ding-a-ling-dong.
the family get to choose the
Yeah, the
who's
language of
choosing
the
what language the
child learns.
in the bilingual
Mhm.
school?
Is it the school? Is it the parents? Is it the
Because
child?
It said a sign, so I was wondering if like
the school just chose
Like
like,
a random sorting
you're
system.
gonna go into
Yeah.
Japanese and you're
Sorting
gonna go to
hat, just-
Spanish.
I choose
That's what I was thinking.
Spanish.
Do you like get to say like which one you prefer, but you don't get to?
Well, and like, let's say you were assigned to like
preschool. I don't
to
think
learn
it's
Japanese. Do you get to learn any Spanish also, or just Japanese?
No.
I think it's really interesting that they chose Japanese and Spanish. Like
Well,
Spanish,
there's a
I
lot
guess
of
makes
Japanese
more sense.
I would say
Where
Population
was
in, like,
it?
Seattle.
Oh,
in
okay, it was
Seattle.
in
We have,
Seattle.
I feel like we have a bigger Korean population in Washington than Japanese.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, they offer Japanese at my middle school.
I used to be friends with Lauren, but she's in the Spanish program, and I'm not
Yeah,
allowed to talk to her
That's my
anymore.
thing. Like, what if the school has like all these kids and like half of them now speak Spanish fluently and half of them speak Japanese fluently and they all sort of speak English, but like, how does this work? That's a really gigantic.
So I think that they need to focus on English too, but they're just focusing on all of them.
They want it to be so they want to become fluent in Spanish, Japanese, and English.
I think it's one.
No,
or the other.
no.
Or just
Spanish.
and English or
or-
Japanese and English. Okay.
But what if I wanted to switch over? What if I was like, I'm done with Spanish? now
What
I
if you
wanna
hit
learn
third
Japanese?
grade and decided to change?
I bet you. Well, I
You
don't
probably
know.
can't.
Well, if you're in a full bilingual school, you can't just go straight English unless you change schools. So I feel like once you're in it, you're in it. Like that's what you dedicate, like your kindergarten, first grade, and second grade.
Because then everyone else in third grade would already know all the like let's say it's
Yeah.
Spanish and Japanese, they would know all the Japanese, and you'd be like,
So would you stay grade level, or like if you did switch, would you go and hang out with the kindergartners?
I don't think
That's
you
so
should.
weird.
I don't think
I
they
don't
put you
think
back
you
with
can
kindergartners.
switch. I don't think you can switch because they still have all the normal like stuff that they have to teach you. So you can't just go back to every kindergarten because you want to change a language.
Also, like, can you come to this school like when you're already in 4th or 5th grade, or do you have to start in kindergarten?
Like, is it required?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
is
Like,
a
what
good
about
question.
military families or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
And they're not gonna know.
you can't join the school in 6th grade when everybody else speaks Japanese and English
Unless
fluently.
maybe you lived in Japan
Mhm.
prior and you want to
they have
like
to like test it.
go back
That's true.
into
I don't
a
like this raspberry.
But you couldn't just like come in with no background knowledge of one of those
Yeah,
languages.
of course.
I mean, it is a private
I'm not
school, so
sick.
you have to be accepted.
Not necessarily. Aren't you private school? You
It's
didn't
kinda
get
weird,
accepted.
right?
You just have to pay lots of money.
Well, but this kind of school, because they said there was
Oh
a
yeah.
Admissions process.
I don't taste any raspberry in that, just saying.
Do you want to hear it? Try a little bit more.
No, I'm fine. Just-
I'm not sick, I promise.
All right. Do we want to talk about the free documents?
Oh yeah, we can.
Yeah.
well, we're supposed to talk about each law.
Yeah,
So
the
we
documents.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So 392, 160, 10.
Zero.
Want me to read it to you guys?
0, 10.
Sure.
Okay.
Read what?
Shall
Shall
make
provide
available
PowerPoint.
to each eligible student a transitional bilingual instruction program, or if the use of two languages is not practicable, practicable as provided in WAC 392.160.040, an alternative instructional program.
So, basically
I
simultaneously
looked at
develop
that
English
too.
skills and grade level academics.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand. They kept saying that in their presentation too, though. It was like, oh, if they can't get the TBIP, then you need an alternative.
Yeah,
program.
that's,
Like, what's
that's
the
what the third
alternative?
law is.
Mm-hmm.
That's the third one we did.
Yeah.
So information
An
for
alternative
eligibility.
instructional program.
And then we listed off in the later section of
Yeah.
this of one.
And
Oh,
in,
what the
and in
five different
3A,
laws
mine
were?
goes
Okay.
over that like in way detail
Yeah.
too.
Okay, good.
So
There are
that's what the
reasons. They're like,
alternative is.
Yeah.
but you have to like meet requirements if you're going to offer the alternative instead of the translational.
Yeah, you have to,
transitional
And
one.
why- and you
Well,
don't
still
give the
requirements in the
transitional?
transitional too.
You don't give the transitional if you just don't have the funding for it or something?
There's a whole bunch of requirements. They're in more of the later topics and questions, I think.
One of them's mine. But yeah.
But
Mine didn't
so
know that.
you're in the transitional program for a while until you eventually can test out, and then when you test out or receive that whatever status it was, I forget which one it was. There was this,
Oh, yeah?
this status of transitional level. The students who score at the transitional level will not enroll in TBIP.
Yeah.
So like once you score that,
You can't go back in.
you can't go back in.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Which
unfortunate. You'd almost want to
sucks.
not score that then.
And you can also parents can get a waiver that says that they don't want you in these services. That was in my
Oh,
because
right.
that was my section. So yeah. So if your parents just say, "I don't want my student in this," you don't get them.
Like, I can see that happening in a lot of, like, Asian cultures that, like, really praise American culture. Like, oh, I don't want my kids to, like, have any specialty. I want them to be, like, fully engrossed in the American culture.
But that's illegal.
Could we skip number 2 for now and talk about number 3? Because I feel like I want to learn more about all you guys' parts having to do with these 3 things.
I don't think it's illegal.
Sorry, I'm still. I said my brain
Submersion
was
is
back.
illegal.
I don't think it's illegal if your parents choose to do the waiver.
Right.
Because then your
I think
parents
it's
are
illegal.
waiving the child's ability to be
It's
in.
really the parents' decision.
Yeah.
I think it's illegal if the schools decide not to put the child in
Yeah,
that
if the
program.
student, if they don't give the student opportunity.
But I guess if the parents say no, there's not really much you can do.
Other than really try to convince the parents
Well,
that the
yeah.
student would benefit and do better in the program. Maybe. Probably.
Most likely.
Yeah. I feel like in general I'm a little confused how I'm supposed to feel about all this different stuff. I feel like I'm just getting a lot of information thrown at me and I'm not told like what benefits and disadvantages as much. I mean we are, but like not as much as I feel like I'm just getting information like blasted into my face.
Right.
Sometimes it can be biased.
And sometimes
That's how I feel about Common Core a lot of the time.
And sometimes
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, well,
They're not even
what?
telling you how to do it, they're just telling you what. And you're like, "Ah, okay, perfect.
Yeah, and that might just come with like time of me being in the program.
Probably.
But currently, I'm just kind of like, what do I think?
And, like, I feel like watching the video for this post was, like, really helpful, too. Because after
yeah.
I read all this information, I was like, okay, like, I don't really know
Like,
what this
what?
really means.
Yeah,
really,
exactly.
like, what I am supposed to feel about it. But after watching the video and after today's
The Tons video?
Yeah,
What?
The
yeah,
Tons video?
speaking tongues.
Yeah, okay. After watching that video and then after like listening to that presentation in particular today, I like have more
Yeah.
of like a firm grasp of like how I really feel about these different programs, and that's why I asked that girl the question about the
Illegal. If it was illegal or not.
Yeah.
right, and because in
There's a colorful one.
this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's.
Because I always think about, because my parents live in Arizona, I've told you guys before, and I always think about, like, the schools in Arizona, how, like,
Different.
really terribly run they are for ELL students.
Which is terrible because there's so many more ELLs there.
They're on the
Yeah.
border. Like, our I don't know much about Nevada or anything, but, like, California and Arizona are both schools, are both states that are on the border, and they treat our ELL students the most terrible out of almost
Which I
any
did not
state.
expect from California.
I know,
For some
because
reason,
California seems like more of a liberal
Yeah.
state anyway.
Well, they are
At least from
literally.
the outside, yeah, they
Yeah.
seem like it.
But border, like being on the border, I feel like they also have like weird,
Misconceptions.
right.
And yeah, definitely.
and like having a lot of like migrant farming families living there and stuff would probably bring about those misconceptions.
But I feel like that's the area where like you need it the most.
exactly, you would think that they would like educate
And like
themselves a little
I'm
bit
wondering
more
why
about
there
it.
isn't like a federal like
Because it's education.
yeah.
That's why.
Well, why
I
are
mean-
we having these laws against, like, for instance, law against submersion, and then they're in Arizona and California where they have more ELL students, you can't speak English.
I think
I mean, you can't
because
speak your native language.
I think honestly because of the deeply rooted
Because there's so
history.
many.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say maybe they're
those
scared that if they
countries
let them.
states.
Mm.
Like think
Ah.
about it.
Or
Like
like
think
a
about
Trump
like the
mentality.
Civil War and
Mhm.
stuff. Like we were fighting the North against the South for like slavery and stuff, or against slavery. Sorry, not for. Against slavery, and I feel like that is still super deeply rooted. Even though these states kind of seem like more on this side, like more, you know, able to like change a little bit. Whereas if you go to like North and South Carolina, it's a little bit different. But I don't know, those states still have like that deeply rooted history.
I think that almost like the legislature or whatever for those states might just be like scared that like the slippery slope effect or whatever. Like if you start letting the students speak Spanish in schools, then eventually they're gonna not learn English because there's such a large Spanish speaking population down there.
that's
That
what
if
I
they're
was thinking. And
that if
everyone
they're
would speak
thinking that, like,
Spanish.
yeah, everyone would just and then the language would change and people that speak English, which are the people in power right now, would be at a disadvantage because so much of the population will be speaking Spanish, and so they want to make sure that everybody can
Right.
speak.
I feel like especially
English.
because they're probably shown like these statistics that in like 2025 like this so and so percentage, and they're like, well, that's why we have to teach
Right,
English.
yeah.
We have
And
to
like that's
force
why
them
it
to
has
speak
to
English.
because they have to learn it to like they'll say to succeed, but they probably mean something.
Still though, if
completely
you're gonna
different.
make everybody learn English, like actually teach them English. Don't just
Yeah.
throw them into the English classroom and be like, haha, no more Spanish for you, because the kid's like, ah.
Exactly.
Like they're not learning
Yeah.
English, they're learning to hate the English language.
Right, and these I can understand where they're coming from because like growing up only speaking English and like not knowing any other language besides American Sign Language, like I can see myself being really scared, like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to learn Spanish and blah 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 blah. And so I can see them being really like afraid about that. But at the same time, English is never not gonna be the worldwide like universal language. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's just
It
used
already
all around the
is.
world.
And if it
so-
wasn't, then it would not be Spanish that took over. It would be like
It'd probably be like Chinese
Mandarin
or
Chinese.
Mandarin.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little. I'm just.
I just feel bad that kids fall so far behind academically because they're so focused on trying to learn this foreign language that's being spoken to them, and then they fall like miles and miles and miles of years behind like academically because you can't teach academic content to a kid in a language that they don't know. That doesn't work like in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Okay, our rants are over now temporarily.
Okay. Never mind, that's off
Do you
topic.
want to go on to the next WAC?
Yeah.
We talked about kind of the first one and the third one.
Yeah, we did actually.
What's the second one?
015.
The WELPA.
School
Oh,
districts
yeah.
must determine the student's primary language and whether or not they qualify for bilingual education services using a combination of methods such as a home language survey completed by the students and the parents and an annual reassessment.
Hooah!
That was my summary of the law.
Good job.
That was very nice.
Pro summary.
Thanks.
So I'm
Summarize
assuming
it.
that they provide these assessments in the native language.
I'm supposed to.
How do they determine if they qualify for bilingual education services?
Wait, are you asking that?
Yeah.
They test students.
Yeah, but like what is the test that they take that's like
Oh, you like want to know the details of it?
well
I
no,
know.
like the whole cultural differences things. Like what if their test is totally off?
It probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably is. You would
Always
hope
sway
it wouldn't
against
be
them.
considering the point of it, but
Yeah.
and you would also hope that they would supply it in the native language, but they probably don't. They might do like some parts, but I doubt all of it
It's probably like a
is.
Google Translate, so it's like, what? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they're probably like, no, even though it
Google
makes yes.
Translate.
You know?
Well, if it's completed by the parents, then it has to be in their native language too, because it should be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Should that be my other question? Wait, mighty question? What?
Yeah.
I don't know what my question
That would
is.
be a good way. It'd be like,
What's up with the WELPA?
is the WELPA supplied in a native language, and what does it do?
Yeah.
Or what is its cultural connections to the native speakers? of
Yeah,
the
like is
language?
it like in their favor, like the
Yeah.
students and the parents taking the test, or is it kind of designed to like get, you know, kind of like our thing?
Because
you
maybe
know,
the schools
funding.
want the funding.
Yeah.
And it's like that would make them maybe want to
Does
make
it
the test a
overqualify or
little.
underqualify students? Or-
Yeah.
Woo!
Whoa!
These are cool questions, but they make me sad.
Explain WELPA.
Tell us about it.
Well, here's the home language survey.
Oh, you have it
But
open.
it's in English.
But yeah.
Yeah. So what if they don't know what it says?
If yes,
I'm sure because
They
they
send
have
it in
to
there,
have
yeah.
to maybe
A translator
oh,
there,
Cause
right?
maybe it's like a
and
translator.
it's like required by law that they have to have this thing completed,
Uh-huh.
this survey.
Cause
So
this
I'm
one at the
sure.
bottom
I thought
says
it said-
English home language survey, so they probably have Spanish home
Yeah.
language survey.
And I feel like they said that when they do the test, they have to have a translator present.
Yeah, but like
Didn't
the
they
one
say
thing
they
we
had
learned
to
in
do that?
SPED is that people can finagle out of the rules all the time. Like,
And they do,
and schools do it all the time, places do it all the time.
especially for funding.
I worked at Harmony Elementary School as a Compass Campus person, and one of my deaf students didn't have an interpreter ever, and
Why?
so I was always talking with him because he had no one. And so he sat there, and they expected him to read and listen with the reading, and he can't hear. So I would try and interpret the book, but I'm just a kid. I don't know all the
Not
fancy
like a
signs.
paid interpreter.
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
one person they had come and interpret, she was just like a parent volunteer. And I talked to her once. She's like, yeah, I'm actually not hired by the school to do this, but, I see that he needs help. And I'm like, ugh. hell is going on?
Like, have him
Like,
listen
thank
to those
you.
stories.
Yeah, and he sits there because he's a really happy kid, but he has no idea what's going on.
Poor kid.
Yeah.
Good job to that
That's so
parent
lame.
volunteer.
That's so
Like,
nice.
props to
Yeah.
her.
He's so cute. I think he's in middle school now if you ever see him. That's Nikolai. He's me.
He makes you weak. Is that what you said?
Weep.
Oh,
He also lives with cerebral palsy, and so he's just always smiling because he's like, I can do this. Look how fast I can run. And I'm like, you run so fast. Sorry. But yeah, they finagle around the rules. So, Boba, rule or not rule?
All right.
Do we want to do 2 or do we want to do 3? Because the 3 has
To do with this.
the 3 has to
The
do
two has
more of
less
this.
to do with this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's skip to 3 then for now.
Okay, because I was A, and mine was Oh, I didn't keep the question in here. That's annoying. But mine was basically talking about like the laws and like transitional bilingual education and alternative instructional programs. And it gave me 1 page of reading, and it said summarize the key terms, and that's all I had. So it was very
I saw
strange.
yours.
I looked at your guys' and I was like, I hope you don't hate me.
I kind of did for a minute.
Oh my gosh, mine. Okay, so I said responsibilities of the school board is to find available programs for the students who are eligible, communicate with the parents in their native language, and train staff who will work with the students, develop procedures, identify, place, and assess students, provide the TBIP, the transitional bilingual instructional program, and then it said, or the alternative instructional program. And then the conditions to be in the alternative program there's 4 different conditions. So the school doesn't have materials for the student in their primary language, so it can't find any reading materials for them in their primary language. The TBIP capacity is full, and they can't accept any more students.
Oh, wow.
The bilingual instruction is going to impair their basic education, so it's going to overtake and they won't be able to learn as well. Or the teacher who is trained in bilingual education is unavailable after they tried to make several ways to bring them over. And then evidence, so also to be in the AIP, you have to have met the TBIP conditions. So you have to meet the conditions and then have one of those 4 things. So if one of those 4 things is checked off, they can be in the alternative program. Which I thought was weird, and that was my whole section.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, B.
I didn't put numbers or letters on my post, so can you tell me which one we're reading?
B, it says, describe the process of placing a student in TBIP.
Oh yeah, TB. For whatever reason, it's labeled 1.
Well, that's the question that you're going to answer now, so.
Okay. So TBIP stands for Transitional Bilingual Instruction Program, and more put that for me because I kept forgetting what it was called or what it stood for. So I'm just gonna read this. So when a student registers in a school district, they must identify what their L1 is, and they must complete a home language survey if they speak more than 1 language at home. Which now I find out that that's not true. I thought it was if they speak more than 1. It was worded weird. So I thought if they spoke more than 1 language at home, then they had to do the home survey. But
Well, what is it?
I read that wrong. So if you just speak a language other than English. at
Oh,
home,
other than English. Okay.
you used to take the
That
home
makes
survey.
sense.
I was like, why? Why would we say so I read that wrong. So if the student hasn't been enrolled in TBIP before, like in a previous school or anything, then that student is referred to the placement test, and students scoring at beginning, advanced beginning, intermediate, and advanced level are eligible for TBIP services. And then for, okay.
I don't understand that.
What do you mean?
So if they score pretty much anything on it, they can be in the program except for that one, which is like
Except for transitional level.
Transitional level 4.
Then they can't.
what's the point of having all the other?
To show probably where they are on the scale
Like
of
how
like
much
knowing the
assistance
language. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, how much assistance and
That's
where you
confusing.
need to start for them and stuff like that.
Like where?
It's
where
an
to start and how
assessment.
long? To,
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. I was see. Mine was, I already basically told you all about it already. I had to read pages 12 through 14. And mine was about what do they go through when they get put into it, and how do you get transferred out of it. I think that was mine. Can you scroll down?
I will open it for you. How
Yeah.
are students tested and exited from a program?
Yeah. So they're tested by taking the WELPA. And
The
we
WELPA
talked
that we
about
don't understand what it
Yes,
is.
and then they're tested out of it by either testing into transitional level 4 of the WELPA, or the parents sign the waiver to take them out of meeting services.
That's the only 2 ways.
Yes.
Wow, those are the only students.
I could, kind of random. I wish that our schools were bilingual.
Yeah.
How
that
messed
would-
up is it that it's not?
I mean,
How easy would it be to just like do it that way, and then our whole country would be happy?
Well, but which 2 languages would the schools
Yeah.
be?
Whichever two were the
Like it would
Most.
change depending on district.
it would most like
I feel like
relevant.
you'd
for that
almost have like
district.
not cliques, but like language divisions then between the different people though, because like if this group of people knows Spanish and this group of people knows Mandarin and this group of people knows
But
Russian,
everybody
but
knows
everyone knows
English.
they all do know English, but like still there'd be divisions in between
I
them.
think that's
There are already
what we have.
divisions.
Yeah, in our
And
society,
prejudices.
and I feel like it would be less of prejudices and divisions, because then their friends would get excited, like, I'm learning such and such language and you're learning such and such language, but we both know English, so let's communicate.
But
and
if
like,
it was dependent on districts too, like everyone you pretty much know would be learning
your
the same
district, yeah.
language in your district. Like unless you knew someone from like another district, which is totally possible.
Yeah.
So like everyone you go to school with and like your peers inside the school would be learning the same language.
I think it's my dream that elementary schools could have 2 teachers per classroom, and then one would be like really fluent in the other language, and one would be just.
I would also put 2 teachers in each classroom, which would be so beneficial. Like even better
Yeah.
than lowering the class numbers, I'd be putting 2 teachers in with
That
all
would
the
also
students.
mean that these teachers like actually need to exist because
Yeah.
right now we're already having like a teacher shortage of
Even if they
speakers
could
of
raise
English.
the number of students in each class, like putting 2 teachers in.
I had one class when I was a kid that had 2 teachers, and it was so
I
cool.
did too.
Miss Rasmussen and Mrs. Dorr, they were dope. And then now teachers are teaching 2 grades because we went out.
Well, no, because I know, like, when I'm, like, okay, so I work at the YMCA, and, like, I teach the toddlers room all the time, and, like, you can either be left in there with 7 kids alone, or they can put up to 14 kids with 2 teachers, and it is so much better to have 14 kids and 2 teachers than even 5 kids and 1 teacher, because there's one person to be, like, watching crowd control, and 1 person to actually be teaching. Like,
Yeah, 2 is better than 1.
2 is always better than 1. It's just, yeah, silly.
So would you rather have 63 kids in your classroom or
63 is
30 something?
Well, in
Because-
in Yvonne's story, we learned
yeah,
that's
that's a life.
for
I had a
For
small
one
classroom
teacher.
with 50-something or 40-something kids.
Mom, I went 3 weeks to school, and my teacher doesn't know that I'm in her class yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be the truth, though.
That's
Dang.
crazy. Oh.
Okay, so I was asked to summarize the key points of Title III. First, I'm going to tell you Title III is often called the, wait for this, English Language Acquisition, Language Enhancement, and Academic Achievement Act.
It's often called that?
Yes, that is what it is called.
Okay.
Often.
And that is the entire name of it.
That's what I would call it.
Yeah.
Right? Not Title III,
Nope.
but that. Anyways, the main purpose... That's what the book said. The main purpose is basically to ensure that ELLs achieve English proficiency and that they meet the same high state standards as non-ELLs, as all children are expected to meet, which is very high standards, but I like that they have high standards, so, you know. Other goals are to help, like, develop high-quality ELD programs, to develop and enhance instructional programs designed to prepare limited English proficient children to enter all English schoolings. Wow, what a great idea would that be, to take the kids that don't speak English and prepare them to go into the all-English schools. Ah, genius. And then also to encourage, like, parental and community, like, participation and involvement in, like, language instruction educational programs, so that way you're not just teaching the children how to speak English, but you're also teaching the parents of the children how to speak English, because that would be a great idea. And then I'm also supposed to define limited English proficient, and that is anyone who is between the ages of 3 and 21 that is enrolled or preparing to enroll in any sort of school system, who was not born in the United States, or whose first language is not English.
What if you were? Oh, never mind.
No way.
No, I got it. I had the question and then you answered it with the next sentence that you said. So.
Because I was like, what if it's not there? For
Yeah,
students? And then she
exactly.
said it, and I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Goody.
And this individual's difficulties in reading, speaking, writing, or understanding of the English language have to put them at significant disadvantages because they have to, like, it's either the fact that they don't know how to speak and communicate in English either, denies the, like, makes them not able to meet the state's proficient level of achievement on, like, state assessments, would make sense. It makes them not able to, like, successfully achieve in classrooms where the language of instruction is English, or it hinders them from fully participating in society or school events or anything that involves the use of the English language. And that qualifies someone as limited English proficient. So all ELLs, basically.
Yeah.
And that was my section.
Sorry, I just didn't.
Are you?
I didn't mean to say it in my head. I wanted to say it in my head.
But it came out.
It just came out.
You guys are all tired.
Oh, I wonder what's in the Harry Potter room. It was that thing where you're supposed to go and surprise people.
What?
From the Compass Campus thing.
Oh,
The donut thing,
yeah.
sorry. I wanted to say it before I forgot. Go on. Don't look at me like that.
Okay, next.
Do
Go.
Do you guys want to hear
Yes.
the paragraph that is the WAC for District Title III applications, or do you want to hear my really tiny one sentence?
Can I
I
hear?
just want to hear
No.
a basic summary.
I want to hear
through
whatever
your
you
words.
want to tell us.
Tell us what you
Okay,
feel
well,
like telling
basically,
us.
it's just
We can also read your post.
yeah, it's just like the district must submit a program approval application to the superintendent of public instruction no later than August 1st of each year.
Is that like
And so
when it's
that's for
supposed
the
to be submitted?
application. Yeah.
Is
Oh,
that
the
your question?
OSPI.
Okay.
That's the application for
Yeah.
District Title III, and then also once you submit the TSIB, it has to be approved by the OSPI.
And you have to take the. Never mind. I just.
the thing we're talking about.
Blah, blah, blah.
Transitional bilingual.
I was like, what is that?
I'm just these acronyms are
Or
getting me.
TVIP.
Are you guys in
Oh.
bed right now?
No, but
No.
I've heard it's even worse.
It's
Yeah.
not like it's bad, but
Can you imagine
definitely
taking
memorize.
this class and SPED at the same time?
I cry.
I
like the class a
probably
lot,
die.
but it's a lot of.
I've heard it's a lot of like information thrown at your face.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
a lot of acronyms to memorize.
But I liked it.
I thought we got a lot of like actual helpful hints, like
Yeah.
teaching techniques and
And
intervention strategies.
I
out
liked
of
our
it.
teacher too. Not
Yeah.
everyone did, but I really liked her.
I liked our intervention strategy project
Didn't
or
we
whatever.
have to
fun.
go over the 5
That's what is there cases? Because I have no idea what those are.
the 5
CASAs. It is CASAs.
It
It's
is
the
supposed to be-
different name of the law.
Yeah, the 5
That's
why my
approved
answer
instructional
ideas are for you.
programs. That was part of the first one. We didn't do it.
Yeah.
What is a transitional?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah,
list
those
and
5
describe the 5 approved instructional programs.
I have them written
I kind of
down.
want to go over them. Like I have the list of them.
There are
but
Dual
5 of us.
language program development.
yeah, we were supposed to split it up, I think, and go over
That's
it.
what that was.
Yeah, I think
That's
it
what was
was
supposed to be
easy
jigsawed.
It's
So
so
easy.
easy.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I feel like the rest of it should have been split.
So
Yeah, they were like
And
literally
can I get a
Let's
brochure?
just each describe one.
all right.
Okay.
1A.
Wait, no. Can I go last?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll go in opposite order.
Ooh, opposite order. Tristan, you're first.
Okay, do you have any, Tristan, or were you confused about
No,
I was
confused.
confused,
I
but-
wrote down all 5 of them, but I didn't have the like full descriptions. Of
I have the
each
full
one.
descriptions written down.
No,
Yes,
no,
I'll-
it's these.
Right?
No, dual language, right?
Yeah,
dual
but, like,
Does
language
everyone
program.
just have all of them and just want to read it? Do you
So
have
I have
the
all of
list?
them. They're right
Okay,
here.
Lauren is just gonna read them.
Go for
I
it.
have them all. So the dual language program it provides integrated language and academic instruction for native English speakers and native speakers of another language with the goals of high academic achievement, first and second language proficiency, and cross-cultural understanding.
Okay. Which
That's the
document
dual
did you
language
find all
program.
this
It was on the.
It was on the
the one
PowerPoint.
that we
but it was barely mentioned.
Okay, there was like 7.
It was on the PowerPoint, you had to like bring the thing up and see
It was
what
on the
her
notes
notes
underneath
were.
it. Yeah.
Oh, yes, I was wondering what those were.
What?
We're gonna do this together.
Wait,
Go
there were notes?
Okay, do the next one.
Developmental bilingual education
It's fully a day.
is an enrichment program that educates English language learners using both English and their first language for academic instruction. And it aims to promote high levels of academic achievement in all curricular areas and full academic language proficiency in the students' first and second languages. Wow, the goals are very, very similar between the two.
Yeah.
And then transitional bilingual education is the most common form of bilingual education for ELLs. It provides academic instruction in English and the learner's primary language as they learn English. I'm really struggling to see what the huge difference between these is.
Well, we talked about. Didn't we talk about them?
Yeah, we did.
Today.
But like,
but these are slightly different.
yeah, those are a
There's
little
the
different.
dual language program, but
Developmental, and then there's transitional, and
transitional,
then there's
Sheltered.
sheltered, which is probably submersion,
and there's newcomer.
which is probably the
So-
ESL pullout.
So sheltered instruction is a little bit different. Like, it's an approach used widely for teaching language to and content to ELLs, and academic subjects are taught only using English, which is interesting. And it's mostly used
Wait, which
in
one's
older
used
classrooms.
only using English? That's
The
thing.
sheltered instruction.
So that like
Which
giving
is
a submersion.
submersion.
Okay.
That's
Mhm.
immersion, so sheltered.
And it says it's mostly used with middle and high school students, but not usually with elementary students.
And then that was the thing she was saying, that's illegal.
For
Yeah,
here,
probably
for
it is
Washington.
here.
For
That makes
Washington.
sense.
So watching it.
But
To be an
commonly
English-only
used
classroom.
in other states.
Yeah.
And
those
then
other states you get the picture.
And then there's the really interesting one that's the newcomer program that helps students acquire beginning English language skills along with core academic skills and knowledge and to acculturate to the U.S. school system. So they actually teach the academic language or the academic skills and stuff in the student's native language while they teach them English, and then they translate it all to English as they're teaching them the thing in their native language. And then I actually looked that one up online because I was confused. And some programs have like additional goals, like preparing students for their new communities. So it's more of like a, wow, you're 16 and you just moved here and you don't speak any English. We're going to continue teaching you the rest of the academic content. We're going to teach you beginning English skills and how to function in this society and this school system and this community. And we're going to teach it all to you instead of just focusing on, you're going to be perfect at English in 2 years.
I'm trying to think back to like my middle school. There we had a lot of ESL students, and I'm trying to think of like what they did. And I remember that in our like English classes and in our science classes, obviously I think this has changed, but like they were pulled out of those classes specifically. And I remember this one girl was like had transferred out of the ESL classroom into my English classroom. And she was so excited to like be in the English classroom. She was like, "This is my first time like in the English classroom," and she had like this cool translator. And so she and I would like sneak messages to each other, and like, and so I could put it in English and translate it into her language.
That's
And
so
we would like
cool.
do notes under the table. to
I
each
remember
other.
having kids who had those translators, and I had no idea what those were. I was like, why do they get to bring their video games to
Yeah.
school?
I guess I'm still confused a little about sheltered being illegal in Washington, because I feel like,
It's like an English-only classroom.
but yeah, we have like English only stuff here, but I feel like we do a lot of stuff with Spanish, but I have seen so many students that aren't Spanish speakers that are Korean or speak, oh shoot, what did my kid say? I think he did I think he spoke Chinese. He was so cute. He never stopped smiling. But like, I feel like we do a lot of like, yeah, we're not English only, we speak Spanish, and then it's like,
What about the
Oh,
other
the other way.
55
because
million
like
languages?
week one, when my girl I read about was Tara, I think, and she said she's learning more Spanish than English when she got pulled out because all they did was speak Spanish and they never never spoke. I think it was like Arabic or whatever her language was.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like we claim to be not submersion and then.
Well, because like my dad's a brand new teacher and he teaches at a school in Marysville, and it's a very high population of ELLs, and like he doesn't have any background training in ELL or whatever because like they just don't do that at most schools. Like this is so rare that we get this.
Yeah.
And so
for
he doesn't
better.
have any background in it. So he keeps asking me all these questions. He's like, yeah, I have this student that's in my 7th grade English class that moved here a year ago from this country, and he doesn't speak any English, and what do I do with him because he's in my classroom for an hour each day, and he just sits there and draws pictures because he can't understand anything I'm saying. And he's like, and I don't speak this child's language. I don't have any background in ELL. Like, I'm going to draw pictures on the board, but that doesn't mean anything for this little boy. And he's like not learning anything at all because he's in the English classroom. And I was like, well, does he get pulled out? And my dad was like, well, yeah, but then he misses whatever I'm teaching. And I'm like, well, he's not getting what you're teaching anyways. So wouldn't it be better for him to be like put in like a newcomer program or like a learn a little bit of English before you go into the classroom thing? Because like there's nobody in the entire Marysville School District that speaks the same language as this child does.
What language?
I don't know what the language is. It has a weird name.
I think that okay, so I think that the least that we could do, as long as we don't know those languages, because it is really hard to find people
Yeah.
who like speak those like
That are willing to come into the school.
extreme minority languages, like Tagalog or whatever you were saying. So is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be the language that he speaks.
But And so I think that the least that we can do is like discover like instructional strategies that, whereas like you could use them by not knowing the language, because I don't speak Spanish. I'm probably not gonna be able to speak a lot of Spanish when I'm a teacher, but I'm gonna have a lot of Spanish speaking students in my classroom. But just
more
like
Spanish than other languages when kids come in.
right.
What do you do for the 95% of school teachers that are already out there teaching that don't have any idea about the ELL thing? So, like, we need to get education to those teachers, too.
Totally, but there are techniques that you can just look up online.
This is true.
YouTube, like, you know, and of course that's a lot easier for like our generation and
Yeah.
stuff. But if there were like classes or instructional strategy that were like implemented, like to teach when the teachers aren't like teaching classes in the summer and stuff, like that would be more beneficial than being like, this is how I think our after school program should be used this coming year. You know what I mean?
Was that your imitation of a teacher's
I
meeting?
like that. I almost wonder if that's why. Well, I know that our school is like the best in like the state because we get all this education. Anyone that fights me on it, I fight him back.
Oh, yeah, me
But
too.
like, I wonder if a lot of the reason we're taught all this is so when we get into the schools, we can like bring up actual facts.
I wonder
so that
if
we're
they're
like, because it's like the schools either don't know about this or something, and so we go to this week and say, well, we need to do this.
Well, I think that's why
'Cause
the
this is the
LLC
law.
major is so, like, wanted in all the schools because, like, even if we come in, like, we have so much knowledge about random, like, not random stuff, but about, like, all
Stuff
these
that no
programs
one
and
else
stuff that
knows.
nobody else knows that we could teach other people about it.
Yeah.
And Washington State, like, is in a current, like, downfall of teachers. Like, they need teachers. But also, we have, like, one of the highest standards for educating educators. And so everyone else wants us. And
So we go anywhere is what I'm
But everyone is leaving Washington because like we don't have the right like support for our teachers, and so it's like
We have good
Washington
schooling,
should
but
step
not
it
the-
up.
That's like your parents
Yeah,
wanting
because
you to
there
go
are
to
other states
Arizona.
that pay way more money.
Yeah,
to
like
teach
I
them
have
and
to
have better-
go. I have to go to school for 5 years to be able to teach in Washington, but someone else is getting a degree for 1 year.
And they're
Yeah.
making
And
more money than
they're-
me because they're teaching in a different state.
Yeah, and so it's like I mean I care about my education, and this is why I'm here. But I'm frustrated because there are all these other teachers out there that don't have the proper education to be teaching.
Yeah, I wish that everybody got the same amount of education, not that we had to get less.
Yeah, like I'm
That's what you're
talking
Yeah.
to, or this one girl I know. I forget where she went, but she went somewhere. It's not in the United States, so it's kind of different. But it reminded me because she's teaching English to these kids in some other country, and I'm like, that's like, I want to do that, but at the same time, like, she literally has no schooling. Like, she is on her year break between high school and college, and I'm here, like, getting my education so that I can actually teach, and it's gonna, like, take.
Well, like if we wanted to be
5 years.
hired in somewhere else to teach English as a second language, like we would be hired right away.
Yeah.
Like
not
if
really
you,
hard.
I am listening to this like linguistic podcast, like by linguists, and they were talking about teaching English in Seoul, South Korea, and they were saying that they hire mainly American speakers because because our accent is desired, and so they're hiring people who aren't educators to teach English.
Just because
But
we
the
have a good
people
accent.
who are educators can get a really high paying job in private schools because they have the degree
If you
from
want to go to
America.
Korea.
My brother actually told me to go to Japan because it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My boyfriend's parents only teach abroad, and so
Yeah.
he grew up, like I already told you, he grew up in China and Japan and all that.
Did he like that?
He is
Or was it hard on him?
super
he doing?
dyslexic, so he already struggled with trying to be at that advanced stuff. But yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, you should go teach abroad, and I'm like, Washington needs us. I can't
Stay
leave.
here.
My people need me.
Everyone's like, where are you going to go after you graduate college? I'm like,
Here.
whoever gives me a job first. So
Hey.
probably
Yeah.
like Mount Vernon.
Yeah.
Remember, it needs people, I guess.
They
so.
do so much.
I'm basically just gonna apply to a bunch of different states, including Washington,
See where they
and
hire
probably abroad, and then just see like who hires me and how much they'll give me, and like
And what they're hiring me to teach.
and
I'm
what
trying
they're
one
hiring me
side,
to
I have to stay
teach,
here.
and like who needs it the most.
That's okay. We
I
love you.
have to put up a while or else I can get stuck here. Then I'll come back.
Can't go back.
I would love to stay in Bellingham, but Bellingham does not need I mean, they do, but like.
But they have
compared
like
to
every
other-
Western
Yeah,
state
They
that
probably
they're
won't
graduating.
even, like, what are the chances of us getting a job?
Yeah, and it's like as much as I'd love to stay in Bellingham, and Bellingham does need good teachers, they already have so much higher percentage of good teachers than
Yeah.
You need to go
all
like to
other places.
Yakima and like all these random places.
Yakima.
Like, hey.
Yeah. And, Alaska.
Still the
They hire a lot of Western students. I knew 5 Western teachers that just graduated last year, and they all got
I
hired.
almost went to Alaska for the summer to teach.
I've never been there,
Teacher
so I always
training.
just imagine snow and moose. Is it like that, or am I totally off?
No.
Part of it is like part of the year.
Okay, it's like
Hang on.
some of it.
I just imagine the Alaskan bush people from that one.
Oh my
What?
Wait, should we talk about post number 2? Shoot! Should we talk about the
Oh yeah, we should go back to number 2. now.
Okay, so
We
that
have
was
2 and 5 left.
our group, the 3 of us totally did this for the presentation. Like,
Sorry.
because I didn't even notice. So it was like the ELL and special education.
Yeah, you just did that
That's
on
literally
Monday.
what we did, which was cool.
Basically, there's no representation of the ELLs and special ed.
Which makes sense.
And it says give specific examples how teachers might avoid these by just putting students in SPED that might actually need. And then we talked about the intervention strategies of how you can like kind of, and then with the clickers, like if the student, you can notice like because they can't cheat, so it's their own information,
Yeah.
so that you can notice if they're guessing or.
Also, I didn't explain
There's,
this
like-
to the class, but sorry, I totally cut you
No,
off.
you're fine. I'm excited.
I didn't explain this to class, but when you do the clickers and you survey, like with your thing on your phone, you can see the answers. That
Yeah,
your
I saw
students
that.
Yeah, I
So
saw
you
it on
can
your
tell.
phone. It has a little graphic
Yeah, I saw it on
inside.
your phone. I looked at
Oh,
it.
you saw it?
Well, I just saw your phone. Like,
'Cause
when you were
people are
behind me.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, oh, what is your
Yeah.
phone?
So you can see exactly who, and you can name the cards. I just named them A, B, C, D, like all the letters of the alphabet, but you can name them what, like the actual
The
student's
student.
name is.
Interesting,
So
so
that
then you can keep
and you
you
can
can find out
track
which
them.
ones.
You can be like, oh, like Stacy still needs help on that. Why did I don't know anyone named Stacy? Why did
But
I
her
name
mom's
her?
got it
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Christina.
Throwback.
And Stacy's like a
And now she's
super
singing.
white
Yeah.
name. We're talking about ELL.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, so then you can at least track them and find out.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Well, and
this
I like that
student-
because then you're not walking around going, oh, wrong,
Oh
and
my
like trying
gosh,
to remember
and
which
I-
student did right or wrong. Because
I read somewhere, and I heard in one of these classes, like, it's illegal to say grades out loud. Every classroom I've ever mentored in, all right, this person got an A, this person got a D, like,
Who
this
says that?
person,
Do people do that?
who does that?
Wow.
Wow.
Ferndale.
Clearly.
Why did I say that so loud?
Also, just let you know I have to leave at 7. So.
Okay.
Oh, okay, cool.
So 5?
That's in 15 minutes.
How long have we been here?
Oh, is there anything else we wanted to discuss for post
Just that the tests, the tests are all often culturally biased and
yeah.
not actually correct. Even if they're in the student's native language, like whatever.
Yeah. Oh my
Like the
gosh!
washing
Like
machine.
for your IT thing we're doing, like how you made it about.
Can I share?
Yeah.
Okay, so for IT 440,
442.
442,
Yeah.
I'm making a movie for like, or my whole thing is about like first grade math. My like whole quarter, I'm doing like a blog for first grade
Mine's
math.
Oregon Trail.
And so I'm making a movie, and it's going to be a story problem. It's super cute, but I really wanted to incorporate like cultural like relevance for like students and stuff. And so I'm talking about Maria and her parents are planning her quinceañera, and she has to find one dress, 5 songs to dance to, and 2 pairs of shoes. How many things total does she have to find? And then, like, after that, like, we'll do it together. It's kind of going to be like Dora the Explorer, like, how many things does she have to find? And then I'll pause for a long time and then be like, great job! Anyway, so maybe they could do that for, like, homework or over the weekend or something. And then after that,
so cute.
and then after that, it's like, Maria decided that she's going to be too tired dancing to 6 songs, so she only wants to find 5 songs. How many things does she have to find now, or whatever? Because that's a Common Core standard, is like this kind of thing,
One
like
less.
6 minus blank equals 5,
Yeah.
like that thing. Anyway, so I want to incorporate that. Anyway, so it's
Super cute, and it was really easy for her because you started with wedding, And then we were like,
and then I was like, how can I make this more culturally relevant?
yeah, so it's super easy to like
That's
just kind
adorable.
of like, how can we make this actually cultural relevant so that it gives other students a fighting chance?
Okay, you said yours is on the organ chart. I'm really excited for this class now.
What do you mean?
Okay, so you pick a grade level. Mine's 4th grade, and then you pick a theme. And so most people did like math or science, and I was like, I want to do the Oregon Trail. She was like, can you explain that, please? And I was like, well, when I was in 4th grade, our entire curriculum was about Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
That was all it was. And so
Mine
all
was
your,
about Washington State.
Yeah,
I know
mine was
Washington
Washington
State
State.
by
Ours
I
was
think
more
mine
fun.
was about Washington State too.
It was cool, and like one huge wall, because our classrooms don't really have walls, they just kind of have dividers, and one huge divider wall was just the giant travel thing, and every group had a team, and you had to, every day you had to move your tack for the whole year. And oh my gosh, I remember saying, I remember once I was like, let's go scout the area, and then we like had one of our people die, and it was all my fault. But it was so cute, and so I was like, I want to do this.
You just looked like Professor Snape.
Professor, I have a coral one too. I have a purple scarf.
Oh my god.
So check my profile picture. It was one of them for a while.
Wow.
But yeah, it's fun class. I really like it.
That's
It's a
cool.
lot better. Don't take it online. Because when I took the first one online, I
I
didn't
took
get
the
anything.
first one online,
yeah,
and I
nothing.
didn't
I
learn
didn't get
much.
anything.
And
Actually,
it
I
was
learned
so
a lot about arts and the education. I did learn a lot about my topic, not about technology.
What did you take online?
I think
IT
I online.
three.
Oh,
I-
is this
I
what I
went.
took in class?
You took the online
Is this
one
what
as well?
this is for?
What?
IT?
No, this is their the second IT.
IT 442.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
We
It's
really
really
fun.
I took it online.
Sorry, off
I took
topic.
it online too.
We are terribly off topic. We apologize.
I took the first one.
Let's talk about
She
5.
commented on that one.
I know.
Did she?
Yeah,
She
she was
did?
like,
be more focused.
great video, like, aside from the
The-
side tracks.
Yeah, well, she called them like rabbit trails. or
Oh,
something.
we kind of, we'll actually get back on them.
Number 5 about the video.
Oh, sorry,
We
sorry,
like
sorry.
each other.
What video?
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's
I
talk about
liked
the
it.
video.
We'll do better next week.
Yeah, I watched the whole video. Not that that's something special, but I watched the whole video, and I was the whole time I was in the library like,
I
like,
know. With
involved.
your face like that.
It was so interesting. I love it when they supply video proof.
Mhm.
So like things in action.
I love it. And I want I was like, I want my kids to go here.
I know. I thought that too. I was like, yes, learn Spanish.
Yes. Learn Spanish without me having to teach.
How exciting. What were we supposed to do with the video? Oh, we were supposed to state why having a multicultural and multilingual United States is important. What is its
I
importance?
think we already talked about
Yeah.
that earlier in the video, or earlier in this video that we're recording right now.
In our video of what?
And then those people, the people that did their presentation today too, they found some of those bilingual schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
As
looked
soon
up-
as I was done, I
a lot.
immediately looked it up. I was like, okay, I could live in Colorado. Do they have any like bilingual schools in Boulder, Denver?
Okay, this is how I researched. I typed in Google bilingual schools or Bellingham bilingual schools or something like that, and came up with like all the schools in Bellingham, and I was like, I think this isn't accurate.
I mean, I got the A Step Ahead Bilingual Learning Center and the Ferndale Bilingual Montessori Preschool
Yeah.
Program, but those are like only for like
Children, tiny,
preschool
tiny little
children.
kids.
Littles.
Well, I think that's good if you're planning on sending your kid to a bilingual elementary school, maybe like a bilingual.
Yeah, but
preschool
there aren't
would
any
be a good
bilingual
step.
elementary schools
There
around here.
was
There's
the
open
Northern Heights
preschools.
Elementary,
There
which
actually
I guess
is.
is.
Are there?
Oh,
But I don't know. There was Northern Heights Elementary, which I think was bilingual. I was kind of confused, but they had like this whole thing that.
Well, I think it's interesting when they only offer it as an elementary education. It's like you should expand your school to
Yeah.
include up through high school, or else they're gonna forget.
Because they're just taught from preschool through grade 5. And
like, that's
It's
great,
like, what
but
are they
the
gonna do in
citizens
middle
not
school
very
and
old.
high school?
Yeah.
And like some of the teachers in the video were saying like they'll lose it if they don't use it. So
Yeah.
like what's the point?
Use it or lose it.
And there's people that are like, oh, but 5th graders like already know their whole language. I'm like, yeah, by the time they get to 8th grade, how much do you remember from 5th
They've
grade? Like,
forgotten.
nothing?
Yeah.
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 And you don't know, like, you know how to talk in your language in 5th grade, but you still learn
'cause you
new
use
vocabulary
it all
when you're
the time.
older.
Yeah.
So basically what you want is an entire society full of bilingual 10-year-olds. But your 13-year-olds don't know any of the second language.
Yeah.
That's what this is going to lead to. Great for the 10-year-olds. Good job.
Like if they continued using it.
Yeah,
But like, what would be the
Yeah.
incentive to use it?
if they're not being, yeah.
Interesting.
That's an interesting note to end on.
We have 3 mini questions. Boom.
Cool.
Sweet.